Hello everyone, Solstice Blessings, welcome back to my channel. So tonight as I film this, it is the night of the winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere. And it is December 20th, 2017. Today, Saturn has shifted from the sign of Sagittarius into the sign of Capricorn. So I wanted to talk about Saturn and Capricorn, just explore Saturn and Capricorn with you tonight. And as I said in my last video, very quickly, I attended a really wonderful seminar by the psychological astrologer Darby Costello on Saturn and Capricorn. And I was just so excited to share some of what we talked about in that seminar with all of you, some of the highlights of that seminar, and also some of my own personal insights and experiences with Saturn. I feel that I have gotten to know Saturn very intimately as I have worked with the energy of Saturn in the past 7 years in my own life, which I will also quickly talk about in this video. So Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn, which means that in Capricorn, Saturn is very powerful. It's at home there. It's very strong there, and it is more than anything very Saturnian. It is in its own element. It's like Saturn is being more Saturn in Capricorn than it would be anywhere else. Saturn also co-rules Aquarius. So from today, from December 20th, 2017 until 2020, Saturn will be in Capricorn, and then it shifts to Aquarius and then back into Capricorn again for another year. So we will be experiencing this Saturn in Capricorn and very Saturnian energy in the next 3 years. So Saturn in Sagittarius was about where we were wise and where we were not wise. This is what Darby Costello kept talking about. Where were we wise and where were we not wise? Where were our leaders wise and where were our leaders not wise? Capricorn and Aquarius are about the others. Capricorn represents the public, the outside world, authorities, governments, the society at large, and Aquarius being the sign of social groups and communities. And in education, in law, in religion, in foreign affairs, in all of those things, we formed our own opinions, thoughts, ideas, beliefs, judgments. And so now, when Saturn has shifted to Capricorn, in Saturn and Capricorn, we are asked to take responsibility for all of those, for our judgments in all of those areas. We are asked to stand back when we have strong opinions and ask, what can I do? How can I take responsibility for this? So instead of playing in the victim mentality where we blame, it's the society's fault, it's the president's fault, it's my parents' fault, it's so-and-so's fault, it's other people's fault, we have to go within and look within and to see where we need to take action. Just even if it's small actions, one step at a time, little by little, just like the sign of Capricorn, very slow-moving earth sign, the sign of slowly, patiently building ourselves to manifestation. So Saturn is in Capricorn is also a sign of structure, so it's about building those structures, slowly building those structures that will help manifest ourselves as healthy, functioning, mature, useful, and satisfied and fulfilled members of the society. So here, Saturn in Capricorn is not about the ego self. It's about a larger collective perspective. We also have, at this time, we have Pluto in Capricorn, we have Neptune in Pisces. So this relationship, this Pluto being in Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces, kind of Saturn in Capricorn sets this backdrop of others, building a relationship with others. Saturn in Libra is exalted, and Libra, the sign of relationships, of harmony, balance. It's important here because we can think of the things we take responsibility for, and the things we own and take ownership for, our assumptions of other people, our the inaction that we might be taking in some certain cases. We might be thinking, oh, I can't do this because I'm not creative enough, or it's so-and-so's fault. We are to go within, ask ourselves, where are we holding back? Where are we stuck in this position? And how can we take action? This is the biggest lesson of Saturn in Capricorn. It becomes absolutely necessary to take small increments of action and take responsibility of our own thinking. So going within, listening. I thought about, as I was in the seminar, I thought about the Hermit card in the Mythic Tarot by Juliet Sharman-Burke and Liz Green, and this is Kronos. Saturn Kronos represents the Hermit card. And I thought about this because the Hermit is so much about contemplation, reflection, going within. And Darby Costello talked about, which I love, she kept talking about the divine contemplation. That when we build a relationship with Saturn, when we work with Saturn, we reach a really deep place of contemplation inside of ourselves, that the silence of knowing deep within ourselves, intuitively, being guided intuitively. Saturn in Capricorn is opposite. Capricorn is opposite the sign of Cancer. And we know that Cancer is a very intuitive sign. And if you've watched my videos before, that I always talk about the polarities of each sign containing within itself its opposite sign, its polar opposite. So here we can really get the deep essence of Capricorn by bringing in the intuition. When we go within, when we ask, when we listen to ourselves, and when we listen to ourselves talking, we can ask ourselves, where do I need to take a look at what I'm saying, at what I'm believing, at how I'm thinking, my own thoughts, my own judgments. Where is this happening? How is my relationship with others? Really working with our, again, like I said, it's not about just the self, the small self, it's about the collective. Being a healthy, functioning, useful, those are keywords of Saturn and Capricorn, useful, healthy, functioning member of the whole, connected to the whole. And this takes discipline and it's hard work. With Saturn, it's never easy. We never get off easy. Saturn's work it requires a lot of discipline and patience. The lesson of patience really becomes important here. So being patient with ourselves and with others. I think of the symbol of the mountain goat climbing up all the way to the top of the mountain, being strong and resilient and never giving up. And the legendary philosopher, astrologer, Howard Sasportas, he said that Saturn brings us down to our knees if we're not careful. So that idea of falling down to our knees and then getting up again. Falling and then getting up again. Accepting our mistakes and moving forward. This, personally, I feel that it's been a big lesson for me with Saturn and working with Saturn. Because I have a weak Saturn in my chart, but I also have Moon in Capricorn. And the other day I was thinking that it seems like life is a series of mistakes, and the lessons that you learn from those mistakes can help you to move forward. So if we think of mistakes as an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for lesson, then those mistakes are not something we would blame ourselves for or blame other people for. And there is a sort of seriousness here that with Saturn there's this attitude of taking things seriously. And there is no longer that lightheartedness of happy-go-lucky Sagittarius. We really got to work hard at taking responsibility, and that itself is the lesson of Saturn, and that can help us to touch the gifts of Saturn, the rewards of Saturn, which is self-mastery. Mastery is the reward of Saturn. And not just self-mastery, but mastery over our destiny. That is really powerful. And when we do work alongside with Saturn, when we build a relationship with Saturn in harmony, we can gain those lessons, and then Saturn becomes our guardian angel. We go into divine contemplation, really go within and touch that space of silence. In Sagittarius, Saturn also caused this anxiety of the future, anxiety about the future, fear of the future. Sagittarius is a future-oriented sign. Saturn can sometimes cause fear and anxiety, and it's sort of this collective anxiety. It becomes sort of hard in that space to know, is this my own anxiety or is this the anxiety of the collective? So now in Capricorn, in this earth solid sign, we can build our structures, we build the structures within us and the boundaries, and then we know where we can draw the line. And so the fear of the future no longer becomes that the future-oriented fear. It's Saturn in Capricorn is more directed towards the present, the here and now. And then I thought it was interesting because Darby Costello was talking about building a relationship between our relationships, building a balance between our relationships that are here and now, and then our relationships that are in the cyberspace or virtual relationships. So that idea of setting limits and boundaries around the virtual friendships to kind of balance, to gain a balance between the time we spend with the people here and now and the time we spend with the people in social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, just not getting overwhelmed by either one. Balancing this Saturn in Libra exaltation sign. It's the idea of balancing relationships. So wherever we feel that we have these strong opinions about anything, it's important to take a look at those. What do I need to do inside? What action do I need to take about that? That's the main lesson of Saturn in Capricorn. Of course, this is just a very short recap of everything we spoke about in the 3-hour seminar with Darby Costello, but I was just so excited to share this information with you. And my own experience with Saturn has been that patience, slow patience, never giving up, and accepting my mistakes. And I feel when it comes to the fear and the structures, I feel that for me it's also about working on my physical structure, on my own body, gaining my physical strength again. So a week ago, kind of coming up to Saturn, I really felt this shift, this kind of inner strength and courage coming, that I needed to face my fears. I have had this shoulder injury, actually both shoulders, for so many years, And I have kind of put off having to go to physiotherapy and do my exercises because I've been afraid of pain. I did not want to face the fact that I would have to go through some pain. But if I don't go through the pain, my shoulders will never get completely better, because I really do need to scratch that surface, that beginning part, and be courageous enough to face the pain in order to get stronger and move forward. And there's going to be setbacks, and that's the thing with Saturn. There is setbacks, but the setbacks are there to make you stronger, to make you more resilient, emotionally resilient, physically resilient. And if we go back to again to that polarities, Cancer being opposite of Capricorn, Cancer is all about the emotions and feeling safe. So that idea of expressing our emotions instead of suppressing our emotions, Saturn tends to suppress. So how are we expressing our emotions? When it comes to other people, again, Saturn and Libra, that relationship with the other, the public world, Capricorn, how are we expressing our emotions to others? How are we expressing our creativity? And that's interesting because in the seminar we touched on where Saturn is in detriment, which is in Leo, and that's Leo is all about creativity, the ego, the self, the heart, and Saturn is teaching us to not fall into the pitfalls of those two signs, which Saturn doesn't feel comfortable in Cancer and Leo. So not fall into getting stuck in emotions, suppressing emotions, learning how to express ourself, creativity, and emotions. That's also the lesson of Saturn. And so going back to what I was saying about my shoulders, I went to my physio actually 2 days ago I went, and I'm still in some pain, actually, and but I'm not afraid. And there's something inside me that's very powerful that's telling me, this is the time to face your fears. This is the time to finally take responsibility for healing your shoulders, making your body, your structure stronger. That's what I'm feeling personally. I'm really interested to know what you are all feeling right now. Are you feeling a shift happening? Are you feeling that you are gaining this inner strength that suddenly you want to do the things that you were maybe afraid of doing or didn't feel that you were good enough at doing? Are you feeling any of that right now? Because now with Saturn in Capricorn, working alongside with Capricorn, we can go towards success in our endeavors. And now that I said success, it reminded me of what my physiotherapist told me when I saw her a couple of days ago. She talked about how I can switch my mentality, my thoughts, these patterns that I have in thinking, wrong thinking, which, as she said, leads towards failure. And as she said, we're going towards success with this thinking. So with Saturn in Capricorn, as I said in the beginning, it becomes important to look at your thinking, your patterns of thinking, your habitual ways of thinking, your comfortable way of thinking. Those, again, come from the opposite sign of Capricorn, Cancer. Your habits, those ingrained deep patterns, how are they keeping you? Are they keeping you stuck? Are they keeping you close to what you're comfortable in? And then our relationships. What is your relationship? What is your relationship to others? Are you contributing to the whole? Because that's what Saturn in Capricorn is about. It's not about the self, the small self, the ego. It's about building a healthy ego so that we can be in the community. We can be functioning as whole, our best selves in the outside world. So I think that's all I wanted to say, and I'm really interested in hearing your comments. I just wanted to share that with you quickly. This was on my mind, and I felt like I needed to get it out there in case it resonates with anybody. If it does resonate, please feel free to share this video with anybody who you think might want to know what Saturn in Capricorn might feel like. Or might, you know, we still don't know what it's going to happen, what it's going to be all about. But these are just some of the speculations we can make right now about what Saturn in Capricorn can mean. I am really looking forward to hearing from you, and I wish you all a blessed Yule and wonderful, peaceful holidays, and I will see you in the new year. Lots of love, as always. Bye, everyone.